Welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. If you're subject to high blood pressure, this is not the video for you. I'm warning you right now. Turn back. Do not watch this video. Don't share this video with anybody who's at risk, because this is really going to make your blood boil. This guy right here is Rochester Police Detective, former Rochester Police Detective, Charles Latempio. Charles is going to get a 2-year paid vacation at $113,000 per year for committing a crime against a member of the public that he swore to protect and serve, because she, being an EMT, was focused on her patient and accidentally dinged the patrol cruiser that Detective Latempio was driving. Let's take a look at this.
Tonight, we're hearing from the EMT who was forcefully arrested inside the Strong Hospital Emergency Department.
The face you make when you encounter another heavy dose of good old American tyranny.
While she had a patient on the gurney.
Does she think the punishment handed down yesterday against the Rochester police officer who did it is fair? News 10 NBC investigative reporter Jennifer Lukey spoke directly with Lakia Smith about it today. Jen?
Yeah, Brett, Deanna, we all remember this situation. It happened in July of 2022, and after more than 2 years yesterday, we learned the officer seen in this video will remain on paid suspension, earning his $113,000 salary until March of 2025, when he will be able to retire and collect his pension. He won't ever be able to be a police officer in New York State again, but the woman in this video isn't satisfied with that outcome.
This is jaw-dropping insanity and injustice. How can this even happen? We have such a corrupt system, such an unjust system, that we've got known criminals out here abusing their authority, abusing the people they're supposed to be protecting and serving, and then getting just this blanket of protection over them to the point of he's going to make $226,000 in the next 2 years, plus whatever benefits, whatever pension, whatever his 401k is, his retirement plan. He's going to get all this as a reward, because that's not a punishment in my book, as a reward for committing a crime on video. Everybody knows it, and they don't care.
Lakia Smith is the woman you see in this video being pushed up against the desk, her arms forcefully pulled behind her back and cuffed. She admits she dinged Officer Charles Latempio's car door with the door of the ambulance she was driving just before this.
It's not even his car. It's a taxpayer-funded, tax cattle-funded patrol cruiser that doesn't even belong to him. And we've seen how they abuse these patrol cruisers. I mean, when they commit their roadside piracy and they're plundering you and they're shoving their hands in your pockets and they're grabbing keys out and they're just throwing them on the hood of their car, they don't care. They don't care about their car. Don't tell me. And what would this guy have done if it was actually his car? What would this detective have done if they saw you abuse somebody who dinged your car? What if you put your hands, what if you were in the grocery store parking lot and somebody just accidentally dinged your car and you put your hands on them? What would a officer standing by witnessing this do to you?
But
my main focus at that moment was trying to get my patient inside the hospital so that he can get the care that he needs.
a few days after the incident, Charles Latempio was suspended with pay. An internal investigation determined he wrongfully detained Smith and used excessive force to do it. But the arbitration process took another...
Did you get that? They actually admitted he did wrong and they dropped the charges on her. This is an admission that what he did was wrong. It's equated to immorality. This is where qualified immunity comes in. These guys have a Kevlar blanket of protection over them wherever they go, whatever actions they commit. Listen to this.
Latempio was suspended with pay. An internal investigation determined he wrongfully detained Smith and used excessive force to do it. But the arbitration process took another 2 years.
I was furious that he was still getting paid after 2 years. I was furious that they still want to still allow him to keep his pension. And I'm furious that I wasn't able to tell my story.
Smith says she didn't testify during the arbitration hearing because they wouldn't let her attorney in the room.
I think this case highlights the broken disciplinary process for police officers in Rochester.
It's not just a broken disciplinary process. It is a corrupt system filled with corrupt people. You don't have to look past the Knapp Commission of the 70s, the Mullen Commission of the 1990s that investigated widespread police criminality within the New York City Police Department, which is the largest police department, not just in this nation, but in the entire world. So if that's happening at the NYPD, you know it's happening at the LAPD and everywhere in between from coast to coast. And something's got to change. You know that the police unions don't give a damn about you when they reward their fellow corrupt, thin blue line thug members, gang members, with a 2-year paid vacation for violating you.
The hearing officer upheld only one of the charges that RPD's internal investigators found Latempio guilty of and suggested a punishment of retraining. Police Chief Dave Smith didn't like that recommendation, so he reached an alternate settlement. Lakeia Smith has filed a...
No, he doesn't need retraining. He needs a 2-year vacation with full benefits and pension at the end of it, and that will expire in March of 2025.
Civil lawsuit over this incident against the city of Rochester and the Rochester Police Department, the same department that has already found Latempio guilty of using excessive force.
On one hand, the city's own employees who investigated this case are saying he was guilty of X, Y, and Z, but on the other hand, they're fighting against a civil suit saying he wasn't guilty of the same X, Y, and Z. How do you reconcile that?
I don't think that you can reconcile it, and I think that the jury would see right through that. I think that anybody that watches the video can see with their own eyes Latempio's actions were outrageous, they were unlawful, and in the end, I expect that we're going to achieve justice for Lakeia in court.
They were not just unlawful and outrageous, they were criminal in nature. Again, if you did the exact same thing as Latempio, Detective Latempio, your ass would be in jail. You would have been fingerprinted, you would have been booked, you would have been charged, you would have had to post bail. Same thing should happen to him. He should be not just losing his job or his pension and all of his assets liquidated, and I'm serious about that. He should be behind bars. He is a danger to society.
Lakeia Smith says she got a shoulder injury during that incident that has made it impossible for her to continue working on an ambulance toward her dream of becoming a paramedic. She's been fighting to get workers' comp benefits for the past 2 years. Brett and Deanna.
Thanks so much, Jen. And if you'd like to look through the internal documents associated with this case, we can link them to you at WHEC.com.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of, remember that nurse, Alex Webbles from the University Hospital in Salt Lake City? She was arrested after explaining to the police that she couldn't draw the blood of an unconscious patient. Remember that? Let's just pull that up as a little bit of a reminder here. After explaining to Detective Jeff Payne that the police needed a warrant or consent from the unconscious patient, which they couldn't get because the patient was unconscious, or the patient needed to be under arrest before the blood sample could be drawn. She was basically just doing her job, and she was being an advocate for this unconscious patient, but that wasn't good enough for Detective Jeff Payne. Watch what he did, just as a refresher, what he did to Nurse Alex Webbles.
Brad, I'm just putting on speaker so you can. So I have this. It says obtaining blood samples for police enforcement from patients suspected to be under the influence. Okay, this is something that you guys agreed to with this hospital. The 3 things that allow us to do that are if you have an electronic warrant, patient consent, or patient under arrest, and neither of those things. The patient can't consent.
So she's reading a document that has been agreed to by the hospital staff and the police department that Detective Jeff Payne works for. This is the signed agreement. This is what I'm standing on. This is fact agreed upon by all parties.
He's told me repeatedly that he doesn't have a warrant and the patient is not under arrest. So I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. That's all. So.
Okay, so I take it without.
This is where I'm just doing my job is legitimate, because 2 parties have agreed, okay, this is how it's going to be. Nurse Webble said, because there's this agreement, This is what I'm sticking with. I'm sticking with the agreement of the hospital I work for, and you should agree to the terms because that's the department you work for.
those in place, I'm not going to get blood. Is that, am I fair to surmise that?
Alex, you're not representing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Why is he continuing to blame you?
I don't know. I have no idea why he's blaming me. I'm just representing.
Why are you blaming the messenger, sir?
She's the one that has told me no.
Yeah, but sir, you're making a huge mistake right now. Like you're making a huge mistake because you're threatening a nurse.
Okay. No, we're done. We're done. You're under arrest. We're going. We're done.
So what happens is, I'm not going to play the rest of this because what happens is YouTube gets all squirrely about this and they start, age restricting. But Detective Jeff Payne puts his hands on Alex Wubbles and arrests her in front of all the hospital staff because he's so drunk on his own power, he can't even see straight. Same thing with this right here, where this guy puts his hands on this EMT because she dinged his door. See, power does corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, but more appropriately and maybe more fittingly, power attracts the corruptible. Like Rochester Police Department detective who's now on an extended paid vacation, Charles Latempio, and Salt Lake City former detective Jeff Payne. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list or my website, highimpactflix.com. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my brand new channel called The Disturbing Illusion, where we expose the left versus right paradigm lie happening under the political big top. I will see you in the next video.